All right. Welcome to the Create Your New Life Real Estate Training. And we have every Thursday powered by Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. What's going on, good people? Welcome. So, Create Your New Life Real Estate Training. We enjoy, doing this every week. And we are about to jump right into it. So we called it Gotta Get the Property on HAR.com Quickly. So, we're still in our Working with Seller series. And we're going to talk now about, today we're going to talk about the power of HAR.com, why it's imperative that once you get the property listed, for you to, as soon as possible, get it on HAR.com. So that's where we are in that step. I'm going to go through kind of our process and our virtual assistant, how they utilize that process. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But first of all, I want to thank those that are not Brooks and Davis real estate professionals taking part in our Create Your New Life. This is now really kind of morphed over into more of a company meeting, business meeting, as well as a training. 10th of next year will serve as our 1-year anniversary of hosting our Create Your New Life real estate sessions. And that's a great accomplishment to be able to do something for 12 months. Going into the new year, I'm really excited about 2017, and we'll talk a little bit about some other items that we have for in store for those Brooks and Davis agents. So again, thank you for joining. If you're not a Brooks and Davis agent, we'd love to set up a meeting with you, sit down and go through how we can help you reach your goals and create the new life, create your life that you want. Your reason for getting into real estate. Okay, so again, if anybody comes on, we know the rules. If you have any questions, you can stop me. We can talk about it. We can hash it out. I like the dialogue. Have the group chat up, so that's also a vehicle that you can use to dialogue and communicate on some of the things that we're talking about today. All right, so let's start it off with our pending board, which is where we like to begin every week. And let me get my stuff together. All righty, so the pending board is going to look crazy because we had a major addition over the last 2 weeks, which really boosted our pending board production up close to $10 million, which is so we had a record executed contract take place over the last 2 weeks. So which puts us, as of today, $9.1 million worth of production is on the board. Okay, so what's our new top 5 look like? So as of today, Kim Stubblefield has now catapulted herself to the #1 spot, and now she's the agent to catch. Right now, she's the one that you guys are going to need to track down, and she's made it very, very difficult for anybody to pull her off that #1 spot. Not to say that it can't be done. It's just going to take some work, effort, desire to be #1. But right now, she's sitting comfortably at the #1 spot. Okay. So some of the things that we have coming up, going into 2017, the statement that I put on the little description, you guys know that I put those little statements at the end of the descriptions every week. And the statement I put on there is that next year is next week. Next year is next week. And that's something that I've been saying a lot in the office, because, people are still, you're still following up with them. You're still calling. People are still calling them. And people are still saying, well, I want to wait till next year, or I want to wait till the first of the year. That's next week. Like, really? let's go ahead and get it going. Like, what? Why are we still waiting? Why are people still waiting until next year? Like, I don't understand it. But look, next year is next week, so let's go ahead and get it going. We let's see, do a quick recap of, let's say, the holiday party. So if you didn't go to the holiday party, man, you missed a treat, a treat, a treat, a treat. So look, these are the pictures. They're on In the Mix. So if you haven't seen it, you can go there. I'm just probably going to scroll down off the first list of them. I also put the link in the group me, so you have access to the pictures there. But if you did not come to the holiday party, man, we had a blast. We had a good old time, boy, I tell you. We had an opportunity to highlight our first 50 agents. So those are all our agents there. Kim Stubblefield was there, but she wasn't able to make it in the picture. But man, we were so excited and happy about recognizing, these are just some of the people that attended. Everybody had on their nice clothes and outfits, and we just had a real good time. You can see that the background was wonderful. We had a little photo booth there, so people were able to take their photos with, just a number of costumes. There's myself, Mr. Brooks. We had a full bar, open bar the whole night. We had food, a great look over the city because we were at the Mosaic on the 7th floor. We had a great look at the pool. I mean, it was phenomenal. So, like, again, if you weren't able to come out to it, we took a host of pictures. Go through the link, check them out, see who was in the building, how it was looking, and we had a good time. We had a really good time. Okay, so with that being said, want to talk about our next 60-day cycle. So, I like to hit these little 60-day sprints just to kind of gauge and keep momentum behind us as far as, what's really important, which is adding production on the board. Adding production on the board. So, our last 60-day cycle the mantra was participate. We wanted agents, we wanted individuals to participate in ultimately putting themselves in a position to make money. And you do that by getting things under contract. You do that by adding people to the production board. So the mantra for the last 60 days, which ended December 12th, was participate. Well, now going into 2017, which is next week, our mantra is going to be just one more activity. And that's going to be beginning on January 5th. So that's next Thursday. Just one more activity. People don't understand that the difference between a top producing agent and an agent that is not producing or making any money, a lot of times is just that top producing agent is willing to just do one more activity, one more task, make one more phone call, come one more day in to do the lead follow-up at the office, go knock on one more door, go to one more networking event. Like, a lot of times it's just that simple. At the end of the day, the business that we're in is about activity, and it's about who's doing the right activities and who's doing the most of those activities. So for the next 60 days, our mantra is going to be all about just one more activity. Now, we did add, right now we have in a cubby, which is going to be added to our next 60 days. We have about $558,000 worth of production that's been added over these, the weeks in between. So we're going to add those as well. Remember, our goal is going to be 4.1 million. And we're going to, work very, very hard to reach our goal this week. We've made advances over the last two cycles. We've jumped about $500,000 from cycle 1 to cycle 2. but we haven't been able to reach our goal for either one of them. And this cycle, this 60 days, I want to see us add that $4.1 million worth of new production to our production board. I know we can do it. Okay, I know we can do it. Just one more activity. Okay. Here we go. Realtor Recruitment Rally. As always, there's opportunity here with the Realtor Recruitment Rally. 5% override. Right now we have Kim Stubblefields participating in that. And I'm in the process of going through our 2016 performance, comparing it against 2015, seeing how we perform. So I'm actively in the process of getting that done right now. So I'm actually seeing what agents are producing, what agents are not producing, who's paying the monthly fee, who's on commission, who is accessing the realtor recruitment, who's getting that override. Right now, there are agents that are getting mailbox money. They're making money off of the production of another agent. They don't have to worry about developing them, training them. They're able to, when that agent makes money, they're able to capitalize off of that every single deal. And as long as that agent stays with Brooks and Davis, they'll be able to tap into that forever, for life. So it's a of income generating opportunity that's offered only to Brooks and Davis real estate agents. I don't know what other real estate companies are doing. I don't know what other boutique firms are doing, but we pride ourselves on giving you all multiple opportunities to generate income as we go through real estate. And we have some other ones coming down the pipeline for you to make income, not just commissionable income from selling houses, but other monthly income, passive income, as you continue to build your business and utilizing different channels that are interconnected with your core business, which is real estate. Like, there's multiple avenues that you can go to access income, consistent income that is connected to your core business, right? So that's going into next year. That's something that we want to put in front of you guys as well, additional opportunities. Now, look, we're committed to making sure that the opportunities are there. You accessing and utilizing the opportunities, that's up to you. Right now we revamped our the way that we handle the office time. Once before it was just Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and now we've opened it up for the whole week. We've organized it, and now we have a lot of agents, getting success. I know you guys saw my text on the group me yesterday that we have agents getting buyer clients. We have agents getting buyers, from doing this, from utilizing this, coming into the office, getting contracts, submitting contract offers. We have agents that's gone on listing appointments and they picked up listings, right? We have the Op City opportunity. For those that have taken advantage of the Op City opportunity, they're submitting contracts. See, remember, I'm able to see all of it, right? Because I'm the one that adds this stuff to the board. So I see what's working. I see what's not working. I see who's taking advantage of the opportunities, and I see who's not taking advantage of the opportunities. So again, all we can do is put them there, but it's up to you, the individual, to take advantage. We know what type of music April listens to. Okay, so that is that's an opportunity right there with the Realtor Recruitment Rally. One of the many opportunities that we offer as an organization, as a company, for you all to take advantage of, and we want you to take advantage of it. Okay, let's see. All right, so now I wanted to spend a little time about. I talked 2 weeks ago about this developmental program that I've been working on since August. Since August of this year, I've been working on a new development program for real estate agents. And I'm going to spend some time kind of going through a little bit of why I did it and where why does it work for you all and for other real estate professionals. So I believe that, I've been in real estate for 12 years. I've been a broker for 10 years. I've had a number of agents, come in. I mean, I've been under a broker, and I've been exposed to a lot since I've been in real estate. And, I'm a part of the Houston Association of Realtors, the Political Action Advisory Committee. I'm a part of the Houston Black Real Estate Association. I'm on that board. So I've been exposed to a lot of realtors, a lot of real estate people I've been exposed to. And the one thing that I've seen, I've gone to conferences. I've gone to the National Association of Real Estate Conference. I've gone to the Texas Association of Real Estate Conference. Going to the National Association of Real Estate Brokers Conference. I've gone to Zillow conferences. Like, I've been around a lot of realtors, a lot of licensed salespeople that their business is real estate. I've done a lot of transactions, right? So there's a lot of access. We're not developed. Agents aren't getting developed, right? You hear a lot about training. You got this training, HAR offers training, NAR offers training. Go to the conferences and get training. Different real estate companies offer training. Yet there's no development, right? And what's the difference between the two? So training is like HAR. They offer training classes, champions, right? You go to a class, sit in there for 2 hours or 1 hour, get your CE credit, right? Even the Texas Real Estate Association, the way that it's designed is designed like that. Like, you go to a class and you get your CE credit. So you go sit in a room and you get instructed, you get taught, right? So maybe that's 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 2 days, 1 week. Even the real estate coaches, they're like, come to their training. But once that's done, like once you're done with that 1 hour, once you're done with that 4 hour training, or once you're done with that 2-day training, that's it. Like, you're responsible for taking the information and going and applying the information. But I've been to trainings, and I know you all have experience with this as well. You go to the training, and I mean, you have no direction of what you need to do. Like, what's the next step? Like, what do I do with all of this information that you gave me? You just dumped all this information on me. Where do I start? Right? And that is called development, right? That is, you give the information, and then you show how to best utilize and use the information. And then you hold the person accountable to making sure that information is being done, right? That's development. And I don't see that happening in the industry. I don't see that being done by HAR or some of the other associations. I don't see that being done by different real estate companies that we're exposed to. I'm not seeing the development piece. I see that that's where the ball's being dropped in our industry. So Brooks and Davis is going to be the one to solve the problem, right? We're gonna offer the solution to the industry, because the one thing, as any business, you have to figure out a way to differentiate yourself from everybody else. And there are a lot of real estate professionals. There are 2 million nationally, people that are licensed professionals, 32,000 in the city of Houston. So there's a number of real estate professionals. NAR is the largest trade association and has the largest lobbying group in the United States. So it's a lot of us. Well, what makes you different? Like, what is going to make you different? What is going to make you individually different? And what is, my focus is what makes Brooks and Davis different, right? So what's going to make us different, what we've identified, is that we can fill a gap when it comes to the development of real estate professionals. And that's what we're going to offer to the industry, right? That's what we're going to give and contribute to the industry. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this Agent Development Institute. It's called ADI, the Agent Development Institute. And the goal of it is to get an individual on track to make $70,000 in the next 15 months. We take 90 days to get them on track. And then over the next 12 months, as long as they stay on that track that we've taught them over that 90-day period, then in 12 months, they should be making at least $70,000, right? So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And what I'm doing is now we've been in beta test mode, right? I designed it, I developed it, went through a period of beta test mode, and now I want to open up my first. This isn't the full launch. This is my first wave of testing. So this is still a little bit of test, but the majority of the adjustments and the tweaks happened in our beta test. So now this is our initial delivering of the program, and it's only open to Brooks and Davis real estate agents. But you have to be full time. You have to be a full time. This has to be your career, because it takes time to utilize the things that you're taught and you're trained on. So on the 9th, January 9th at 1:30, I'm holding an interest meeting for those that are interested in getting into the Agent Development Institute that's going to be starting next month, right? So it's an interest meeting. It should take no more than about, I would say, an hour, between 30 minutes and an hour, depending on how many questions that you all have, right? But the point of it is just for me to expose to you the program, what it offers, what it can do for you, so you can get on the same page and understand that this is like nothing that's ever been done. Like it's been completely built from scratch. And I'm going to be personally coaching you, and I'm not an easy coach, right? I'm going to be the one holding you accountable, and I'm not easy at taking excuses, because I feel like I'm doing you a disservice if I allow you to give excuses. So, I want you to really, that's why I want to be intentional about exposing the program, and I want people to not just haphazardly get into it, because if you do, it's not going to work, because my coaching style doesn't work for haphazard. Like, the standard and the bar is really high. But we're just going to go through a couple of the slides as I go through it, because I really want to encourage that if you are a full-time real estate professional, for you to come out on January 9th, Monday, January 9th at 1:30, and I'm going to be sending out some other, links and emails and things talking about it. But I want you to come out and get exposed to this Agent Development Institute. And if you're full-time, I want you to take part in it, because, again, it's about developing it. And, again, taking that 90 days and getting you on track to go from $0 to $70,000. Now, some people are going to say, well, $70,000 isn't a lot of money. And I agree with you. $70,000 is not a lot of money. The reason that we picked that number is because our thought process is, if you don't at least desire $70,000, then this should not be a career for you, because it's very difficult to make money in real estate. Regardless of what the infomercials say and what HGTV says, regardless of what Bravo says, $1 million listing and all this stuff you should see on TV, regardless of what companies are saying, or, the real estate schools are saying, it's difficult to make money in real estate. And for the amount of effort and mental capacity and innovation and things that you have to do to differentiate yourself, to not want at least $70,000, it would be better to pretty much just go get a job, right? Because there's way other people that you can go work for and make 40, 50 grand a year. So it's if you don't at least desire to make at least $70,000, then and I'm serious, like I'm not joking, I really encourage people to go get a job, right? Go work for, an oil company and be an executive assistant, or go get in corporate America, go work for a CPA, go work for an attorney, or just, go get an office gig. Like, if all you want is 40, 50 grand, you just want a modest amount of money, real estate, it's not worth it. Like, it's just not worth the energy and the time that you got to put into it. So, all right, the institute is built around 5 P's. We call it the Pentagon of P's. So what's intertwined throughout the entire program is we talk about planning, prospecting and marketing, professional skill, you as a person, and pedagogy. Pedagogy, that word means education. It means self-improvement, right? So planning, organization is one of the biggest things that we're missing as an industry, as professionals in our industry. We're missing being organized. We're missing efficiency. We're taking a lot of time to do things that make us a little bit of money. And it's because we're not effective, right? Yeah, we're chopping down a bunch of trees, but we're in the wrong forest, right? We're climbing up the ladder, but the ladder is positioned on the wrong building. Like, that's effectiveness, right? Well, because of our disorganization, a lot of us are not being successful in this business. And then prospecting and marketing. Every single one of you all are marketers, right? You look at yourself as a real estate professional, but you're a marketer first. And if you're not good at marketing, if you're not good at prospecting, then you're not gonna make any money. You're not gonna have anybody or anyone to do real estate for. So prospecting and marketing is another humongous gap when it comes to people not being able to make money in this business. We talk about the average real estate salary, right? The average real estate salary is less than 40 grand. That's average. Even though we got 2 million people in our industry, and you see shows like $1 Million Listing and things of the sort. You see realtors making millions of dollars, millions, single individual making millions commissionable income off real estate, yet the average is 40 grand. So there's a huge gap in between those that have and those that have not. So professional skill. There's a lot of people that are unprofessional. They don't understand, and I'm not just talking about real estate. I'm just talking about business. Professional from a business standpoint. You're in a business. You're a business person, and business people need to operate and carry themselves a certain way. There's a level of skill that should separate an independent contract or a business person from an employee. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. There's a level of skill, and there's a level of insight. There's a level of aspiration that should come with a person that owns a business or that is in business, right? And then you talk about the person. Like, if you're not right mentally, physically, and spiritually, then everything else when it comes to real estate is not going to work. So we have to spend time dealing with you as a person when it comes to you being successful in real estate. So we have to deal with that. 90% of it is mental. I know you hear a lot about that. Athletes that perform on a high level, most of them say the majority of it is mental. Like, when I played football, I ran track, our coaches said all the time, like, it's a mental game. Like, yeah, the physical plays a part, but the majority of it is mental. It's the mentality, the mental anguish, that if you can handle that. So the same thing with success in real estate. The activities are driven by your mentality that you bring to the table. And if your mentality is off, then I can't deal with your habits. I can't deal with your habitual characteristics. Is off, which is what's going to drive you in whatever direction. So we deal with that. And then we also deal with, again, the pedagogy and preparation. So that's that self-improvement. That's that education. You have to constantly be learning and improving. If you're not continually and learning and improving in this business, that's why it's one of our core values, continually learning, improving, operating in the most productive manner. If you're not continually doing that, and you're not going to be successful. I read autobiographies about Warren Buffett, and it talks about how many when he first got started, second richest man in the world. He spent the first half of his day reading magazines and books, like being in the library, like growing his mental capacity. That's how he was able to accomplish all these things. Like, you gotta be growing and learning. It's imperative. So this is what it's really all about, right? So it's in 2 stages, and again, I'll go into more detail at the meeting. But stage 1, which is the 70,000, look, that's all that's saying is that you're building a house. you're building a house that's going to provide you shelter. It's going to provide you protection. It just 4 walls, a roof, foundation, basic characteristics of a house. So we're building a house through real estate to take care of you, to take care of your basic necessities. That's the 70,000. Stage 2, and because there is a stage 2, and there's limitless. That's what you want in your house. Like, how extravagant do you want it to be? Do you want marble floors, or do you just want carpet? Build a grade carpet. Do you want crown molding? Are you good with just regular white painted wall? Do you want, rod iron staircase winding up and down? Are you good with just, the standard stairs? Do you want an elevator on the inside of the house? You want marble floors? You want arches? See, like, that's stage 2. It's how elaborate is your quality of life inside of the house, right? And that's where there's limitless. That's where you go above the 70,000 and beyond, right? That's stage 2. Not everybody wants stage 2. That's why it's 2 stages. Everybody should want stage 1. If you don't want stage 1, you should get into something else. Not everybody wants stage 2, and that's okay. That's why we made it, we designed it that way for if those people that wanted to get off at that point of stage 1, that opportunity is there. You make 70 grand a year. You're going to enjoy your life as long as you control your spending. It's going to be a good thing. Okay. Okay. All right. So that I really encourage you, again, if you're a full-time realtor and this is going to be your career, right? This is what you're going to do with your life to fund the quality of life that you're looking for. I plead with you to take part in this interest meeting that we're having on January the 9th, right? Come hear about this program, this Development Institute. I want you to sign up for it. Again, it involves education. It involves accountability, right? Coaching, things that, and there's not an additional cost. It's something that you're going to receive because you're a Brooks & Davis real estate agent. It is, at some point next year, I'm going to do a full launch. And what full launch means is that the program is going to be open to people that are not Brooks & Davis agents, yet they will have to pay for it, right? You all will not have to pay for it because you're a part of Brooks & Davis, but other people will have to pay for it to be a part of the program. And again, it's our gift or our solution and gift to the real estate industry because of the lack of development that is taking place in our market right now. So January 9th, 1:30, it's going to be at the office. We actually have somebody speaking that day anyway for our Monday luncheons. Lisa Lindsay with Pacific Union Mortgage Company is going to be speaking on that day. And then right after that, at 1:30, we're going to have our interest meeting and go through this developmental program. So I really wanted to take some time going through that because I really encourage you all to take part of it. I think it's an excellent opportunity. When I got into real estate, I wish somebody would have taken the time to develop me so I wouldn't have to learn it trial and error, which is the way that I did, or pay thousands of dollars to a real estate coach to do the same exact things and concepts that we're going to be dealing with, that you all were going to have access to because you're a part of our company. It's a differentiator. Okay. All right. So I'll be talking to you guys about that on next week. All right. So now let's get back into our Working with Sellers series. Do a quick recap. To find out this information that we're going to be going over, it's in your 7-dot training folder, right? So, this is the inside of your 7-dot training folder. This is what's in the 7-dot training folder. If you cannot access the 7-dot training folder, please let me know so we can make sure that you get access. But right here in the process for working with sellers, inside of that process, this is the written process from beginning to end of how to work with sellers. Okay. And that's this process that we've been spending time going through over these last months. as we're in this series. So we've done the, we've done the initial property consultation. We prepared for it. We've had the phone call. We've got them to agree to allow us to have an appointment with them. We've done our pre-listing questions. We've prepared for our initial property consultation. We have gone on that, and we have gotten the customer to sign the employment agreement. We've also done the initial characteristic appointment to where we've placed the sign out and we've got measurements. We've prepared for that. We've gone on that and we've completed it. So this is where we are in the process of working with the seller, right? We've been hired and we've completed that, all of that process. Now, if you had not seen any of the previous videos, all you have to do is go to the Create Your New Life. Matter of fact, let me show that to you real quick. It's in your 7.training folder, Create Your New Life, Working with Seller series, and we've done all of these videos that's ultimately walked through this process up to this point, right? So we still have some places to go when it comes to this. So this thing is going to be full of videos that you can refer back to. Again, Brooks and Davis, you have access to this stuff when it comes to specifically seeing how to handle the practical aspects of this business. But everybody doesn't have access to this extensive of a library. So that's where we are. Again, the most recent one that we talked about was the initial characteristic appointment, where we got that information. All right, so now today, we've gone through this form, which is our property production checklist, which is on our property folder, to wait for us to stay organized, right? To wait for us to operate efficiently. So we've checked everything on here. Initial characteristic appointment. So now we're here. All of these, in an ideal situation, all of these have been completed. This stuff's been completed. So now we're placing it on the MLS. Okay. Let's see. What we're gonna look at today is we're going to look at what is once you've gone on an initial characteristic appointment and once you've received all of your documentation, like your initial characteristic checklist, your property description questionnaire, how do you use all of that to get on to HAR quickly? Now, as most of you all know, I have a virtual assistant. And the whole reason that I even entertained the thought of getting a virtual assistant was because of the amount of time that it was taking me to add properties onto HAR. It was taking me forever. When I say forever, it was taking me forever to get properties online, like to actually sit in front of a computer and go through the steps of getting a property on the MLS to where people could see it. Now, that if you're listing, you have a listing, you're a listing agent, that's the most important aspect of getting a property sold, is it being on HAR.com. We know the statistics. Over 90% of buyers begin their property search online. We understand that's how people are getting internet leads, because of the listings that are being exposed. Because when a person, we deal with this a lot with our first-time home buyers. First-time home buyer, you would think that what's important to them is getting educated, because this is their first time doing it. So you would think the most important thing to them would be to get a class, understand the process. But what we found is that they care about schools, they care about subdivisions. So the first thing that they're doing is not going to get educated on the process. They're looking at houses. right? So that's the first thing that everybody's doing. Person says they want to buy a house, they go to HAR, or they go to Zillow, right? So everybody's starting there. That's why it's imperative that you get it on HAR. Now, why am I saying it's imperative to get it on HAR when we talk all the time about how Zillow is commanding the internet space when it comes to nationally, right? Because of their acquisition of Trulia, they command north of 70% of the internet home buying market. Well, number one, HAR still dominates Zillow in Houston. So you're in Houston. That's one reason why you need to get in HAR. The second reason is because Zillow actually pulls HAR's data through their IDX. And so by you adding it to HAR, it automatically gets added to Zillow. So you don't have to go to two different portals. Just add it in one place. Because not only is it added to Zillow, it's added to homes.com, and it's added to a number of places where the property can get exposed, right? And again, this is where your MLS Platinum kicks in, because you won't be able to access those HAR leads through those other sources unless you're an MLS Platinum user. So you gotta do it. It's $129 a year, and it's just imperative if you have listings, because that's how you capture your leads. So it's powerful. The HAR portal is powerful, and the sooner you get the property on the market on HAR, the greater your chances of selling it. Because remember, just because you went on a listing appointment and you got them to sign and agree to let you list their house, that's not doing anything. That's still costing you money. Like, you haven't made any money from that. You're still costing you money, and it's still costing you time until you get a buyer, they get approved, y'all go to the closing table. Then you get a check. So there's still so many things that have to take place before you get paid off of the fact that you successfully was hired by a seller. So the faster you get it on HAR, the faster you can move on to the next phase of getting a buyer, right? So that's why it's imperative that you get it done quickly. And that's why I brought in a virtual assistant to, all they did, my first virtual assistant, all they did was just add the properties to the MLS. Like, I still did everything else. I just needed to get that big chunk of time off of my table, off of my plate, so I can go spend more time getting more clients. Because thinking about it long term, if it's taking me it used to take me between 2 and 3 hours to, realistically, literally, it would take me between 2 and 3 hours to get the property on the MLS, get all the documents and things inputting into it. And then I would add into some of the other places that we're gonna talk about today. Like, it would take me 2 to 3 hours to do it. So I had to, I could never handle any level of volume if I continued to operate that way. So we're going to look at the actual process that my virtual assistant uses, and we're going to kind of walk through that. And look, I can help you. We can help cater it to how it best works for you. Like, this is what worked for me, and this is kind of what works for us as we continue to operate. But it may not work for everybody. Remember, I'm an engineer, so my mind thinks like that anyway. I think in systems and processes. That's how I think. Everybody doesn't. But what I'm telling you is that if you're going to handle any level of volume, you have to be able to utilize systems. You have to, and you have to be able to leverage other people's time, because you have to be focusing on the most important things, which is getting clients, marketing, prospecting. Okay. All right. So this is the first part of the process of getting it. Now, we call it internet support, because it's more than just getting on HAR.com. It's about getting it onto the internet. So what does internet support look like? Internet support looks like this. We have the MLS. We have centralized showing. We have placed on social media. We have added to Craigslist. We have created marketing site. So all of those things are done. All of those things are a part of internet support, or what we call internet support. I'll tell you again, placed on the MLS, placed on the MLS, then the MLS write-up is emailed to the client. You want them to see it. It's added on Centralized Showing. It's placed on our social media outlets. At the time, we would create a listing flyer, but you can't do that through HAR no more. We added it to Craigslist. We created what's called a market insight, to where if anything happens in that zip code, it emails them an update on what's happening in their market. So all of those things will take place in internet support. So now let's talk through a little bit why those specific things are done. We've talked before about communication. When it comes to working with sellers, communication is key. Matter of fact, it's the most important thing. It's communication. Because if you're not communicating with your seller, what happens is that they begin to create their own stories. They begin to create their own stories about what you are, what you're not doing, giving their own selves reasons of why a property is not selling. So they begin to kind of do all of that in their head. So it's important that you communicate with them at the least on a weekly basis, even if you have nothing to tell them. Now there are multiple, or you can, there's multiple ways that you can do this, and it doesn't necessarily have to be with you calling them, right? One of the ways is Centralized Showing. Now, a lot of people don't want to use Centralized Showing because there's a cost. I want you to stop looking at things as a cost, and I want you to look at it as an investment. Two things. Let's deal with the cost. Let's deal with that, right? Because a lot of people don't want to spend money. And I know that we've heard people say it takes money to make money. Like, we've heard that before. And it's true to an extent. I believe that it takes creative ideas. Like, creative ideas make money. But yet there are expenses that are necessary. And the reason that they are one or two things. The first thing is that you have to look at things as investment, not cost. I agree with you. If it's a cost, then it can be eliminated, right? Costs can be eliminated. Investments are necessary. And the reason that investments are necessary is because an investment offers you a return. So any investment should be giving you back something. It should be giving you back either time, or it should be giving you back money, right? And if it's not, if it's not giving you back time, and if it's not giving you back money, then it's not an investment. It's a cost, right? And then that can be eliminated. I agree. Okay, so now there are certain things when it comes to this checklist that some people see as a cost, and I'm going to tell you that it's an investment. The first one is Centralized Showing. I used to not use Centralized Showing, and I had got up to a point to where I had, 8 or 9 listings, and I was carrying about 8 or 9 listings. And if everybody's calling you, oh my, you talk about frustrating. You talk about a quality of life that you do not want to experience, is when you have to facilitate all of the showings for multiple properties, right? And I don't even know how I did it with 8 properties, because I'm just talking right now. We just listed a property at 2120 El Paseo, and man, the amount of people that are trying to show that property, I couldn't even imagine I'm having to be the person to coordinate, being a person to take the call from the agent, call the client, and confirm that the client agrees to whatever time that they can show it. Like, I can't even imagine it. So Centralized Showing, again, if you're going to be thinking volume, Centralized Showing is imperative to have, to put yourself in a position to where you have the time, number one, to devote on doing the more important things. You schedule an appointment between an agent and your client is not best use of time for you. It's not. So Centralized Showing is an investment. The way it works, You can either pay per listing. It's a one-time fee per listing. It's just like $40 per listing, one time. And it stays on there however long it needs to be until you sell it. And they'll facilitate between scheduling appointments with the client and the agent. You can put time blocks in there. The client can call Centralized Showing directly and make whatever adjustments that they want to make. You can upload documents. You can put showing notes. Like it's just phenomenal. So I tell you, if you're going to be a listing agent and you're going to have multiple listings, like if you just have one or two of them, okay, yeah, you can probably manage that. But again, I'm trying to get people to aspire to have multiple listings. So if you have multiple listings, you're not going to be able to manage all of that coming from multiple listings. So you need to have somebody in place. So Centralized Showing is a great way to do it. You can either do it per listing or you can do it on a monthly basis. So, just pay a monthly fee and then they give you up to a certain amount. And then if you do more than that amount, then it's, an additional cost. But, don't start worrying about that until you're, if you're bringing in, if you're bringing in 3 or 4 listings a month, then it probably will be better if you just sign on to their monthly fee, their monthly thing. So really when you get to the volume, but up to that point, just pay the month, just pay that one time. All right. The second thing, or the second cost when it comes to cost, or the reason why we do it. So we got Centralized Showing. We're talking about communication. There we go. All right. So Centralized Showing, also what it does is that it allows for, if anybody shows the property, any agent shows the property, they can leave feedback, and that feedback can automatically be emailed to the client. It'll send the client a daily log of all the people that schedule showing. So this is for your people that maybe it's on a going show, so they don't have to call and confirm an appointment. So maybe it's on a going show. Well, if it's on a going show, it's a vacant property, then it'll email the client, a log of all the people that may have showed it for that week. So again, communication. The next thing is we email the client, the market insight. So now the client is being communicated with via email from all the showings that are taking place. So the client sees the kind of activity the property is getting without you having to physically call the client and give them an update. So they're a part of the process, right? So that deals with a little of the communication. And then if the agents give the feedback, then the client's able to see the feedback live, right? So that deals with the communication barrier. All right. The second thing is to create market insight, which is something else that we do as a part of the internet support, is creating the market insight. So market insight, it'll allow you to set it up, and you can either do subdivision or you can do zip code. And you add that zip code, you add that subdivision in there, and based on MLS data, if any new property comes on, if a property is sold off of it, if a property goes pending, then once a week is going to send the client a market insight to let the client know what type of activity is taking place in an area around their property. Again, that's another form of keeping the line of communication open with the seller, so they can't be making their own mind and determination about what's going on. Right? They can actually see through Centralized Showing who's showing or who's not showing, what notifications that they're getting. They can actually see through market insight if properties are selling or if new properties are coming on board. They can actually see what's going on a consistent basis. So that's why we added those two things in there. All right. Submit the MLS write-up to client, we do that because, again, you want the client. What I found in the past was that I put it on the MLS without sending the write-up to the client, and then they would find it in other measures or other ways, and there would be mistakes and things on it. So what we started doing was that we want to catch those mistakes. We want the client to catch those mistakes. So then they'll take a look at it. They'll review it. And plus, you don't want them to have to go find their own listing on the HAR. You want them to be able to see it, see how it's put together, to see it's a part of the customer or the client experience. So they get to see the pictures, how the pictures looks, how the layout looks, what the description says. So they'll get to see it. So, some clients, they'll look at it, some clients don't. But, you want to do it. Like, you want to make it easy for them. You want them to see what it looks like on the MLS. So that's why we submit or we email them the MLS write-up once it's done. We add it on Centralized Showing. We place it on social media. I mean, that's just a no-brainer for you to place all your listings and market them on your social media platform. Remember, you want to be seen as the expert. You also want to be seen as being productive. So it gives additional exposure to your client, but it also solidifies you as this is your career. This is what you do. Hey, look, I do real estate. The reason that I do real estate is because I have a house here for sale. I'm selling a house. So that really pushes you as a professional. So that's why you want to place it on your social media. So that's, that talks a little bit about why we're doing some of these things in internet support. Okay. So now let's take a look at the first of the two processes. So the way that our setup is, we have a transaction coordinator, and there's a process that they work from. And then we have our offsite virtual office administrator, and then they have a process that they work from. So the first one that we're going to look at is the process that the office administrator or the transaction coordinator uses, right? So let's look at it. So what does the transaction coordinator do? Now, and understand these processes, all of these processes are in your 7-Dot training folder. So you have access to all of them. So the transaction coordinator, what they do is they're preparing it for the virtual assistant to begin working on it. They're preparing it. So what they're going to do is they're going to take the initial characteristic appointment checklist. They're going to take the property description questionnaire. Now, remember, those were the two forms that you took with you to the initial characteristic appointment. So our transaction coordinator takes that checklist, they take that questionnaire, and if it's a short sale, only for short sales, they take Form L, which is property repairs and damage, and they upload all of that into the Dropbox. Now, at the time, the Dropbox was the shared file drive that was shared between our offsite people and the corporate office. So that stuff would be uploaded into Dropbox. So the virtual assistant could have access to it. All right. The next thing the transaction coordinator would do is that they will retrieve the property pics that were taken. So remember, when you go on the initial characteristic appointment, you're taking pictures of the property. So the transaction coordinator, and we used to do it with an actual camera, so you'd have to upload them from the camera. But now, you can do them on your smartphone, or if it's a property that you get professional pictures, the photographer will typically email you a link to the photos or email you the pictures. So in other way, however the pictures came, the transaction coordinator will create a folder in the Dropbox, HAR pics, and then they would add up to 32 pictures. They would upload 32 pictures into that folder. So now you'll see on the MLS, and you'll see people not have 32 pictures on their MLS write-up. Now, I get it. Some properties, they're so jacked up that you just can't come up with 32 pictures. So at that point, maybe to fill the gap, go take pictures of the area. But it's important that you have 32, that you max it out for a number of reasons. The first reason is that, and it's important that your pictures are nice. Now, I'm not saying hire a professional photographer for every single listing that you get. That's not what I'm saying. Take in consideration what price point that you're working on. What I am telling you though is that studies have shown that there are two things that sell properties online. Now we know that buyers 90% of the time they're starting online, so that means that they're seeing a bunch of houses, like a bunch of them, depending on how much time they're spending on there. And the way that house listings are presented online, they're presented all the same way. It's kind of vanilla. So you need to do things that kind of differentiate yours from the masses of all of this, glob of real estate properties that the prospective buyer is going to be seeing. Well, the way that you do that is one of two things: through your pictures, right? So professional pictures, again, studies show that professional pictures sell properties faster and for a higher price. The type of picture, the best, the picture. So even if you're not getting professional pictures done, you want to make sure that the house is clean and neat and everything's in order. Even if you're using your smartphone, you want to make sure that the pictures look nice. You want to make sure that, if you can get a wide angle lens, because I know they sell for like $30, you can get a wide angle lens for your iPhone. And again, that makes those pictures really pop and stand out if you're not going to go professional. But you want to pay attention to your pictures and how you present the pictures online. Again, because it's going to help you sell the property, as well as, if another prospective seller is looking to hire you as their realtor, then they're going to look at that stuff. So you want to pay attention to the type of pictures you put on there. You want to, the second thing is your description. You'll see that you can get up to 500 characters to add on HAR. You need to add your 32 pictures, and you need to max out the 500 characters. The description is the second thing that buyers use to make a determination on if they want to see a property. The pictures and the description. If you're shortchanging on the pictures, and if you're shortchanging on the description, just putting a couple of sentences there, you're not positioning yourself, number one, to make any money, and you're doing a disservice to your client because you're not putting their property in the best view. Another reason why you need to max out the 32 pictures is because what a lot of people don't know is that, when you add your property to HAR.com, Realtor.com is another portal that pulls your stuff. Well, the way that Realtor.com determines where your property is going to be listed when a person searches a particular area is not based on alphabetical order. It's not based on size. It's not even based on price. It's based on which listings have the most pictures. So although Realtor.com lets you upload an unlimited amount of pictures, HAR only lets you upload 32. So your property is going to be higher on Realtor.com than any of the other properties that have less than 32 pictures. So that's another reason why you need to max out your picture count, because it's going to give your client more exposure. Now, this kind of information that I'm telling you about, this stuff just doesn't fall from the sky. This is from years of being in this business, reading the magazines I tell y'all to read all the time, having the conversations, going to the events. You get information like this that you can utilize to give you an edge. We're all looking for an edge. Again, it's 32,000 of us. What's differentiating you? So that's why it's important when it comes to the pictures and it comes to the description, and why we do the 32 pictures. Okay, so upload the pictures into the Dropbox, into the folder. All right. So now, after the transaction coordinator puts in the property description questionnaire, they put in the initial characteristic appointment checklist, they've added the pictures, then they're going to fill out a form called the property description questionnaire supplement. Let me pull that form up for you real quick. So the property description questionnaire supplement looks like this. Let's see. It looks like this. This is what the property description questionnaire looks like. So in our process, the transaction coordinator filled all that information out, or they filled this form out. Again, you all have access to it. This is what it looks like. It says what type of property it is, type of sale, county, Craigslist headline and location, schools, directions. Now, between this form, and it even breaks it down depending on the property type, single family, townhouse, condo, rental. Now, again, this is our form that we use. Some of this stuff you may not need. 80% of it you will. Other 20% is probably specific to our business. Of all of these forms that you have, 80% or more of it is common to your business as well. Just a small percentage of it is just specific to how we do things, with the corporate team. So this is the property description questionnaire. So now, as I said last week, the information on the initial characteristic appointment checklist, the information on the initial characteristic appointment checklist, the information on the property description questionnaire, and the information on this form, the property description questionnaire supplement, is the questions that HAR is going to ask, that the MLS is going to ask for you to input. All right. Those forms have been completely designed around the data that software asks when you're inputting information into it. Now, those 3 forms really helped decrease the amount of time that it took for me to add stuff onto the MLS. Before I got my virtual assistant, I created these forms. So even when I was putting it on there myself, I was utilizing these 3 forms because it allowed me to quickly get to adding the information. When before these forms, as I'm sitting there on HAR.com, I'm having to try to remember what it all has as I'm going through the list, and you'll see it as we start. We're not going to, in the next session, we're going to go deeper into adding it on the HAR, but you'll see as you're going through it and you're adding the data that it asks so many questions. If you don't have forms like this that are completed, that you're filling out on site, and then you try to think back to it, one or two things going to happen. You're going to have a MLS write-up that doesn't have a lot of data or a lot of information on it, which is another thing that if I'm a buyer and I'm looking to purchase a home, or if I'm a real estate agent and I'm looking to pick a property for my client, well, if there are specifics that the client's asked about that your property fits in that mold, but because you didn't put the information on the MLS write-up, your property is not getting picked. So without these forms, there's information that's missing on your write-up, and it's taking you longer to do it, right? So, it got to a point with these 3 forms. I could take the forms out. I have that along with the tax write-up, which is it's the 4th form that you need. I have that stuff laid out on my desk, and then I'm just going through it because I have the information, and I'm just, boom, adding it from one place to the next. One place, all right, boom, 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 filling it out because it's already done. So I took, I prepared myself, or it was prepared. These forms helped prepare me to better be able to move through adding it onto HAR.com. So that's the 4th, that's the last form. Okay. So again, the transaction coordinator will fill that form out, and then they added that form into Dropbox, right? So once the transaction coordinator has done those items, they've done those things, then they would do a task. So then at this point, the office notifies the virtual administrator, and now the virtual administrator begins their process, which is this. So this is the process that the virtual administrator operates by. in submitting it to internet support. So now we're gonna pick up here next week on seeing it. Now this right here is gonna speak to specifically adding it into HAR.com. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pull up HAR and I'm gonna go to the different areas that these screenshots talk about live, so we can see, you know, so you can better kind of connect the dots on how to add it to the MLS specifically, or HAR. Okay. So with that being said, that's all that I have as far as today's session. Recap for those that came on a little later. With our Create Your New Life training, our sessions, I'm gonna stop calling them trainings because there's more than that. You know, it is kind of more of our weekly company meeting. You know, we have 2 opportunities to come together as an organization. We have our Monday luncheons that we've been doing on a regular basis, and that's where we bring in our presenter, and our presenter feeds us and they talk to us about their service. And then I do a quick, you know, conversation. There's some hot things that are, you know, smoking that I need to present to you guys. Then we'll talk about those real quickly on Mondays. And by, you know, 1 o'clock, we're done, right? You know, typically they get going, we eat, have a good lunch, and then we're out of there. And then the second is our Create Your New Life. So, and then also on those Mondays, if you guys have specific questions for me or any challenges you need some coaching, we can go through that on those Mondays as well. The Create Your New Life is also another place where we come together on a weekly basis. So 2 times a week, there's an opportunity for us to come together as a team, as an organization, as well as for you all to have access to me with any questions or things. And yeah, I do a lot of talking on Thursdays, but I do a lot of talking because we don't have the dialogue. So I want you to understand that at any time you can stop me. You can ask questions. We can use the group chat, or you can just take your phone off mute and we can have a dialogue about some things, some questions or some challenges that you're having. So if you came on a little late, I always say that at the beginning, and I'm going to start saying it at the end as well, because I want everybody to know that you can ask questions, you know, in between time. You don't have to wait. So with that being said, does anybody have any questions or any coaching that they want to go through? We can handle that and deal with that now. Okay. If not, next week, the new year is next week. So, you know, get ready. The training next week, we're going to be kind of talking about this, but I'm closing out 2016, 2015. So I'm going to be presenting kind of which agents did the most production, did the most sales, most closed transactions, and just kind of give some acknowledgments for, you know, the hard work, and just let everybody understand, you know, the potential that exists in this business. And, you know, it's not just about seeing those top producers on TV or with other companies or at conferences, depending on what companies you come from, where you would have the conferences, the big conferences where they would bring the top producers on stage. That there are people that are part of Brooks and Davis that are every day grinding it out, getting people under contract, closing deals, that are right here. So you don't have to have supernatural powers to make money in real estate. You know, everybody has the capacity to do it. It's about your habits and the activities that you're doing. That's it. You know, we're all human. We all have the same blood flowing through our veins. We all have access to the same information. And especially Brooks and Davis agents, you all have access to the same information. So it's just a matter of what you do with it. Okay. With that being said, you guys have a very happy New Year. Be safe on New Year's Eve, and God willing, we'll be talking to you on next week. You guys have a great one. Let me get my music up, and we're gonna rock out.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Oh yeah. Guys, have a great one. We'll be talking to you later. Mm.